Mike Williams went duck hunting with his best friend on a cold December morning in Florida. He never came back. Now, people drown in Lake Seminole all the time. It's a big reservoir, dangerous currents, remote stretches of shoreline. So when searchers found Mike's empty boat floating near the Georgia border, they assumed the obvious. Search teams went out. They searched for 56 days. No body, not a trace. So they landed on the next logical explanation: alligators. Mike Williams fell overboard and was eaten by alligators. There's one problem with that. It was December. Alligators don't eat in December. They barely move in December. They're cold-blooded. Winter sends them into a torpor state, barely functional. Wildlife experts knew this. The science was there. But the story stuck. Mike was officially declared dead. Cause of death? Accidental drowning. Case closed. For 17 years. Mike Williams is 31 years old. He's a real estate appraiser in Tallahassee, Florida. By every account, he is a genuinely good person. His coworkers say he was the kind of man who actually meant it when he asked how you were doing. He and his wife Denise had been high school sweethearts. They had a baby daughter who just turned 1. 2 days before he disappears, Mike and Denise sit down with his mother and his brother and tell them they're planning to have another child. They're talking about a cruise to Hawaii in the spring. He has a work trip to Jamaica later in the year. Mike Williams has a full calendar, a young daughter, a marriage, a life. 3 years before Mike disappears, something shifts. We'll come back to that. Now meet Brian Winchester. Brian is Mike's best friend. They've known each other since high school. They hunt together regularly. Their wives are friends. Their families socialize. Brian is in the insurance business, and in the year 2000, Brian Winchester sells Mike Williams a $1 million life insurance policy. Which, okay, your best friend sells you a life insurance policy. Normal. Insurance agents sell policies to people they know. Nothing suspicious about that on its face. Except, Brian Winchester has been sleeping with Mike's wife since 1997. Not occasionally, regularly, for 3 years. Through hunting trips and family barbecues and birthday parties and double dates. The affair had been running for 3 full years before Mike Williams went duck hunting that December morning. And Brian Winchester is the person who sold him the life insurance policy. The beneficiary on that policy? Denise Williams. Here's where it becomes calculated. Brian and Denise don't just want to be together. They want to be together without the complications. Denise won't file for divorce. Her family is religious. Divorce is frowned on. And she doesn't want to share custody of their daughter. So they start considering alternatives. At one point, Denise suggests staging a boating accident on the Gulf of Mexico. Just push Mike and Brian's then-wife Kathy overboard. Let the sea do the rest. Brian says no. He doesn't want to kill his children's mother. Which is a moral line he drew. Just to note that he drew it there and apparently not elsewhere. They consider staging a robbery at Mike's office. That gets ruled out too. Then, Brian thinks of something. He and Mike hunt together all the time. Remote lakes, pre-dawn hours, no witnesses. He once saved Mike from quicksand on a hunting trip in Arkansas. He understands how easy it is for something to go wrong in those conditions. All it takes is the right morning. The first date they choose is December 9th. Denise's job is straightforward. Make sure Mike goes on the trip. But the night before, she gets cold feet. Mike calls Brian and tells him Denise won't let him go that day. Trip canceled. Brian is not pleased. He calls Denise. He lays it out. The insurance policy is about to lapse. Duck season is ending. Do you want this to happen or not? Denise decides she does. The following Saturday, Brian tells Mike he's found a secret hunting spot. Tells him to bring his waders. They meet in a parking lot before dawn and drive separate cars to Lake Seminole. They get in a boat. They row out to a deep part of the lake. And then Brian pushes Mike overboard. Mike Williams is a strong man. He manages to get his waders off. He swims to a tree stump in the middle of the lake and holds on. He is calling for help. He can see Brian in the boat. Brian circles the stump once. He loads the gun he brought. He circles the stump a second time. He shoots Mike Williams in the head. Brian Winchester drives home. He climbs into bed with his wife to establish an alibi. He tells her he went hunting alone and overslept. Then Brian Winchester joins the search party the next day. He is out there on Lake Seminole looking for his best friend. He is the one who finds Mike's empty boat. He is the only person in that search party who knows exactly where Mike is. He is buried an hour away at a place called Carr Lake, in a spot Brian chose himself. When investigators speak to Denise Williams in the aftermath, the detective who interviews her, his name is Derek Wester, later describes the conversation with one word: cold. No emotion, no softening, just matter of fact. Meanwhile, Denise starts working on the life insurance claim. Florida law says a missing person without a body can't be declared legally dead for 5 years. Denise does not want to wait 5 years. 6 months after Mike disappears, something convenient happens. His waders and jacket, with his hunting license still inside, float up to the surface of Lake Seminole. This occurs less than a month before a scheduled court hearing about declaring Mike legally dead. A judge accepts the waders as sufficient proof. Mike Williams is declared legally dead. Cause of death: accidental drowning while duck hunting. Denise Williams collects $1,750,000 in life insurance. In 2005, 5 years after Mike disappears, she marries Brian Winchester, her husband's best friend, the man who sold Mike the policy. They move in together. They get on with their lives. Mike's mother, Cheryl, does not get on with her life. She cannot. She stands on street corners with missing person signs. She papers local roads with flyers. She places ads in newspapers. She writes letters to the governor of Florida requesting the case be reopened. Not a few letters. 2,600 letters. Over 17 years. Cheryl Williams wrote 2,600 letters because she did not believe the alligator story. Because she knew her son. Because no body was ever recovered from Lake Seminole, and she had been told that in the history of that lake, not one drowning victim had ever gone unrecovered. Not one. Until Mike. Brian Winchester and Denise Williams are now in the process of divorcing. The marriage, built on a murder, has not held together. Brian Winchester kidnaps Denise at gunpoint. He is arrested. He is now facing serious prison time for aggravated kidnapping. And suddenly, Brian Winchester has something that prosecutors desperately want: the location of Mike Williams' body. He makes a deal: full confession, location of the remains. In exchange, immunity from any murder charges. He will serve time for the kidnapping. He will never be charged with shooting Mike Williams at the stump. Investigators follow Brian Winchester's directions to Carr Lake, 1 hour from Lake Seminole, where the search happened, where the town kept living its life. Mike Williams had been there the whole time. In court, Brian Winchester describes what happened on the boat. He describes pushing Mike. He describes Mike swimming to the stump. He describes loading the gun. He describes the 2 circles around the stump. He says, "I just made 1 or 2 circles around, and as I passed by, I shot him." When asked to describe his relationship with Denise, Brian Winchester uses 4 words. We were Bonnie and Clyde.
Denise Williams goes to trial in December 2018.
She denies everything. Her daughter Ansley testifies that she cannot believe her mother would do this, that her father would not do this, that Brian acted alone. The jury deliberates for 4 days. Denise Williams is convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and accessory after the fact. Life in prison. In 2020, a Florida appeals court overturns the murder conviction, ruling that the state did not prove Denise was directly involved in the killing on the lake. She was not there. She was not on the phone with Brian while it happened. The appeals court rules that is not enough for murder, but the conspiracy conviction stands. She agreed to the plan. She made Mike get on that boat on December 16th. She made the decision that set everything in motion. She is currently serving 30 years. Brian Winchester, the man who actually pulled the trigger, who drove home and climbed into bed and then joined the search party, got immunity from murder charges. He served 20 years for kidnapping the woman he murdered for. The man who killed Mike Williams will never be charged with Mike Williams' murder. Mike's mother, Cheryl, got to be in the courtroom for the verdict. After 2,600 letters and 17 years of street corners and flyers and nobody listening, she got to hear the word guilty. In her victim impact statement, she said, "When I try to sleep at night, I will see my son clinging to a tree stump in Lake Seminole in the dark, knowing that his best friend is trying to kill him. I hear his voice screaming for help. I wasn't there to help him. It will haunt me forever." Brian Winchester sold Mike Williams a $1 million life insurance policy 6 months before he killed him at that stump. The beneficiary was Mike's wife. Mike never had any idea.